PlayStation Drive is starting. While you wait, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon on YouTube to be notified of future goodness. If you enjoy our show, we'd love it if you gave us a 5-star review or rating on your podcast service of choice. To continue the conversation, join the Carpool Gaming Discord, where you can find a wholesome community to have a chit chat with. For some exclusive content, you can also support us on Patreon. And finally, don't forget to check out the Carpool Gaming website for an awesome range of merch. Links to all that and more are in the show notes, but without further ado, let's get revved up for the PlayStation Drive. Whoa!
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome on in to the PlayStation Drive, episode 136, a new beginning with a brand new crew here of the PlayStation Drive. I have, of course, one of your hosts, Ryan Turford, the weather person on the Moose, and I am joined by an esteemed gallery of animal friends here. We're going to start with Ron. How's it going, Ron?
Doing well, doing well. Hello, everybody.
Hello. And of course, we got Ngachacha, Mr. Squirrel himself. Hello.
Hello. I'm apologizing in advance because I'm sick of being sick. So I might have a dry cough and sound congested, but that wouldn't stop me from showing up tonight. Too excited.
Absolutely. And of course, the Thunder from Down Under, Fulya is also here. Hello, Fulya.
Hello, everyone. I am also sort of sick, so I might sound a little weird, but I am here. I am excited. It's going to be fun.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're all going to get, of course, people are already asking, Antics in the chat, already asking, who are these lovely people? Well, you're going to get to know all of them this evening. You'll already know me because, I'm all from all the other shows already. I've been on the PlayStation Drive before, but everyone else is new. And you're going to, of course, get to know everyone tonight because, ladies and gentlemen, y'all wrote in so many questions tonight. And, of course, we are so appreciative, y'all, for writing in questions. So we've got so many to go through. But before we do that, of course, we got a little housekeeping. We got to, of course, give shout outs to our brand new patrons joining over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Josh Coltier for joining the exclusive tier on the free trial. Did you enjoy that free trial content, Josh? Laura, who upgraded to the exclusive tier. We got CrocoKyle for joining the gold tier because apparently that's an Austin Powers reference because we like gold, apparently. And of course, the good sir for joining the ad-free tier, all in one tier. Huge shout out to all of our patrons as well, not just our new patrons. Of course, y'all rock. But without further ado, let's just jump into this. Let's just jump into things, guys. First of all, how excited? I've been talking a lot, and I want to know how excited are y'all to be here? Where's the hype level? Ngachacha, give me the hype level. I want you to tell me how hyped you are, man.
Hype is out of control, Ryan, just with the amount of questions that came in the last few days, all the support from the community members. The love and support is it's very overwhelming, but the questions, I'm very excited to dive into them, but we're going to pin it for now. We're not going to jump right into those questions. But yeah, we saw the questions and some of them are quite juicy and complex, and some of the answers you might like and some of them you might not, but that's part of the PlayStation Drive. You're going to get what you get.
It also helps that with so many of these questions, I love how y'all put it so bluntly by saying we had to do homework with some of these questions because they're just go back and look up a whole bunch of stuff on about our PlayStation profiles and stuff. And it was just that's so much work. Oh my God, Fulya's even got the notebook. Oh my God.
I've got my notebook ready.
Excellent. Well, Fulya, hit me with your hype levels. How hyped are you about tonight?
Oh man, I am so excited, but I am also a teeny bit nervous, so be gentle.
Oh, come on, it'll be fine. We'll be fine. This is of course me doing patting because Pat is also in the chat.
Pat in the chat.
Pat in the chat.
Ron, what about you? Where's your hype level at, man?
I'm at a 10. Level nervousness about a 2.5, 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Absolutely. We're going to do great here on the PlayStation Drive. So I think it's time for us to get into our topic of the week. I mean, to be fair, this topic of the week probably going to be very short because we got a lot of questions this week. And this is something I did with Matt on the very first episode of the PlayStation Drive. So I wanted to do kind of the same thing with y'all, since y'all are brand new to the show. In fact, I know Matt did this with Court when Court joined the show as well. Like we like to, this is part of the PlayStation Drive initiation, as you will. So we're going to go ahead and tell our PlayStation origin stories, how we as a crew got into PlayStation, where kind of our love for PlayStation comes from. And I'll go first because, of course, you know, this is a tale as old as time, to the point where if you went back and listened to the first episode of the PlayStation Drive, you would have heard the story already. So I will try and keep it brief to give these three fine folks all the time in the world to talk about it. So, of course, around the time that PlayStation 1 came out, I was playing a lot of PC games. I had kind of moved off consoles from the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis era, and was mostly playing games on PC, mainly because at the time, you know, Napster was around and a bunch of other stuff was around, and I played a lot of PC games. And it was a lot easier to just discover new games on PC than it ever was for me to discover on consoles at the time. So I was playing a lot of stuff, and it wasn't really until, you know, one of my favorite all-time Sega CD games was remastered and re-released for the PlayStation 1, then I knew I had to get a PlayStation. That, of course, is this copy of Lunar Silver Star Story Complete. This is, of course, the original version. You can tell because this box is totally falling apart, because this was the last one they had in the store. In fact, the last copy this store ever got of this, because it was a shelf copy. So it's totally falling apart from my local GameStop. But I love this game to death. I played it a ton. Of course, this is a turn-based role-playing game that, again, started as a Sega CD game, but got like a remake on the Sega Saturn, as well as the PlayStation 1. And it's come to a bunch of different platforms since then. In fact, it's the game I'm making Garrett play right now over on the RPG Cave as part of his backlog. But then the thing that really solidified me with PlayStation after picking up the console with Lunar was, of course, you know, we were on this trip in Texas, kind of driving around, and we stopped at a local Circuit City, and we saw on the shelf for $20 this copy of Final Fantasy VII, the Greatest Hits Edition, of course, with everyone's favorite green banner on it. And I knew that I had to pick it up because I loved role-playing games and I'd heard so many great things about it. And this game was really the game that brought me all into PlayStation, where, you know, I was picking up all kinds of stuff from PlayStation. I really moved away from PC and kind of made my the PlayStation 1 kind of my primary platform at that point. And I've really kind of been, you know, someone who's stuck with PlayStation ever since. I've owned every PlayStation console, whether it is, you know, the portable consoles, the home consoles, even the weird peripherals like the, you know, the iToy, or some of the weird controllers you'd get for the PlayStation. Like, I'm someone who's always been kind of all in on PlayStation, and it all really stems from the moment that I kind of picked up that original PlayStation 1 console. So that's kind of where my love for PlayStation comes from. I know, like, I could have, like, there's some alternate reality out there where I fell down the rabbit hole with the N64 like all my friends did, because all my friends had N64s. I was the only person that I knew who had a PlayStation, and I was so thankful that I was that person, because I got to play so many great role-playing games and games of other genres as well. And I love the PlayStation for that. So definitely all stemming from the PlayStation 1. But I want to hear from y'all. Start with Ron. I want to know your story, man. How did you get into PlayStation in general?
So I was already at college, my first semester when the launch happened, so I had to miss out on that. So when I came home for Christmas vacation, I had to do the mad dash like everybody else trying to get one. At that time, it was pretty much sold out everywhere. Walmart was out, Babbage's was out, Funko Land was out. So KB Toys was like my last stop, and they actually had quite a few that was left. So I grabbed that, and I think it was Ridge Racer, Battle Arena to Shinden. There was another one in there. Air Combat,
Okay.
and Discworld. I wanted Twisted Metal, but they didn't have any more copies. So I was like, I'll just grab Discworld because, you know, the back of the copy looked good. I wish I had, you know, done some research on it, because it did not end up being a good game, but everything else was. So I don't know, man. From there, it's just I kind of just became a PlayStation guy. I was still a lot with Nintendo at the same time, but slowly I kind of started wanting to stick with PlayStation, and that's where I stayed at.
Nice. Ngachacha, how about you, man?
Well, for me, all right, before you ask for my PlayStation card, just let me finish the story, okay? So I grew up as a Nintendo kid, NES, Super Nintendo. You're shaking your head already.
told
Don't
me to
ask for the
stick with
card
it,
yet. Just please, just wait. um, N64 rolled out, so obviously being a Nintendo continued. Asked my parents for it for Christmas or birthday. Got the N64. But at that time, way back in the day before we had video game subscriptions and buying digital games, we used to go to stores to physically buy our games. But at that time, we could also rent video games. But I remember specifically at that time, I think I went to a store called Microplay in the GTA, and you could rent consoles. I'm sure you could do that at other stores, but you could rent consoles.
Mhm.
And it was the summertime, and I remember I was there with my brother and my cousins, and it wasn't even me. It was somebody. I think I have the game actually right here. So he picked out this game called Resident Evil 2, and he's like, "This game looks cool. Let's just get it." And at that time, we didn't have a PlayStation. So then the guy said, "Well, you can rent the PlayStation 1." So we did. So we rented the PlayStation 1 and Resident Evil 2, and I fell in love with that game. I'm pretty sure my cousins and brother, they fell off of it because at that time we didn't rent a memory card. So it
Oh my
was
God.
one
Oh,
run.
no.
So if you
Yeah.
die, it's back to the beginning. So they got obviously quite frustrated. But there's something about this game, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in future episodes, that just hooked me with Resident Evil 2. So I kept playing over and over and over again, and we kept renting it like almost every other weekend. And my dad kind of got frustrated. He's like, "Why do you keep renting this when you have an N64?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't want to tell him that. Well, there's this very violent zombie game that I really need to play." But that's kind of where my PlayStation origins started. But again, I'm going to disappoint people. So the next generation, I finally had some income working part time, but I was still very loyal, and I bought a GameCube instead of a PS2. And Ron's shaking his head. He wants my PlayStation card.
Fun fact, you and I did the same thing because I also bought a GameCube before PlayStation 2 because, as people can see from the hat I'm wearing, I'm a big Metroid fan. So when Metroid Prime came out, I'm like, I have to buy a GameCube. And that just happened to be before I was ready to buy a PlayStation 2. So I'm kind of in the same boat with you with that one.
And again, this is going to be, we won't go on this tangent, but the GameCube has one of the greatest of all times library. So I wasn't regretful with that purchase. And again, I still got timbits of PlayStation because I ended up lending my GameCube to a friend, and he lent me his PS2. And then that's where I got to experience GTA Vice City, San Andreas. So again, I was getting more like a little bit of a taste of what I'm missing. So it was already there for PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. There was always a part of me that was like, I like my Nintendo games, but I'm missing out on some stuff that's not available on the Nintendo platform. And then when I got the Wii, I like that system, but that was a system that was like, I made the wrong choice. I really should have gotten a PS3. So I saved all my monies, and then I finally got a PS3 Slim. And the very first two games I got, I'm pretty sure was Resident Evil 5, very fittingly so, and then Batman Arkham Asylum. And ever since then, been a PlayStation fan. So it was, again, it started off with little hints, but I guess I was just too stubborn to not dive into it. And I'm glad I'm part of it now, though, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, actually, it's funny you talked about renting consoles because one of the things that I did was that's where I actually played a lot of N64 games. I rented the N64 a few times from my local Blockbuster Video in London, Ontario, Canada. And you better believe, like, that's how I finished, Ocarina of Time and Mario 64 and a bunch of different games. So, like, definitely that was an interesting route back then where you could just rent consoles and return them. But it was so cool. Like, yeah, like we'd rent them for the weekend and then just play games all weekend and return them when it's ready to go back to school on Monday, which is pretty cool. But Fulya, how about you? Where did you start with PlayStation? Where's your love for PlayStation come from?
Okay, so growing up, I originally started with a Atari.
Okay.
And that's where because this all comes down from my dad. My dad was pretty big on like playing games and stuff like that. And my first ever gaming experience was on the Atari. And then from there, it went to the NES console. And I loved playing on that console so much. It also used to live in my room between me and my sister because I had the bigger TV when I was a kid. So my gaming started with, Nintendo and Atari, but my first experience with PlayStation was thanks to cousins and visiting family, and because they would be the ones that actually owned the new gen consoles. So when the PlayStation first was released, whenever I'd visit my cousin's house, that's where I would find out about these games. So PlayStation was really big because a lot of my cousins here, most of them are male. And so a lot of them were big PlayStation gamers. And so that's kind of where I started. And I think I originally started playing like whatever fighter games they had because they were the only multiplayer games that they had to be able to play. And because they're also older than me, I'd always be nagging them to be like, "Oh, I want to play with you too. I want to play, games with you." And so the fighter games were the only games that they had available. So I think if I remember correctly, I do remember having played like Mortal Kombat and like Tekken, like Street Fighter back in those days. And I was the button mashing kid. Like
Okay.
that's kind of how I started with gaming, especially with fighters. It was all about the button mashing because I had no idea what the buttons did. So as soon as I found that they were doing something, I'm like, cool, I'm just going to press all the buttons at once and just see what happens.
Nice.
It works. It works.
Yeah, it always
It
works.
gets the job done.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, especially for even against like some people who have been playing fighting games for a while. It's the unpredictability of the button mashing that sometimes will just get you if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because I was under 10 years old when I was like around that age, and I'm learning how to play games and like fighting games. It's just that's kind of how I learned. But when we first got our first PlayStation console, I was in my teens, and it was this little gem over here, the PlayStation 1.
Oh,
The little baby one. Oh,
The
Slim,
baby
the Super Slim,
PS1
right?
baby one.
Slim.
The Super
Yeah,
Slim.
well,
very, very
it's just the
Love it.
PlayStation 1 with the 1 on spelled out.
PS1.
Oh.
Yeah. I have that same one as well because like I had the original model, but then the disk drive stopped working on mine. So luckily that was back in the day when EB Games had warranties on their console. So I just brought my console in. They're just like, well, we have to swap it out, but we only have PS1s available. So I guess we're just gonna give you a PS1 instead of like the old model. So that's the version I have now too.
Yeah. So, and yes, Pat in the chat says that he has a modded one. I also had this PS1 modded. My parents weren't really the type of like, they weren't earning as much. So obviously they had to find ways to keep me and my sister entertained. So they were like, what's the best way to get more games without breaking the bank? And so they got it chipped.
Okay.
Koala
Of course.
with another pirate cap.
And then we were able to buy games that were obviously,
Questionable. Just say
Yeah,
questionable.
exactly.
But audio listeners can't hear the quotations for you.
I was trying to think of the word. I just didn't know what
It's
word
all
to
right.
come up with.
It's fine.
It's
I
fine.
talked
It's
about
fine.
Napster as well.
It's fine.
So yeah. It's fine.
So that's kind of where I started with my PlayStation journey. I would say, yeah, that's PlayStation 1, PS1, like the old faithful with the no joysticks at all
course.
on this controller. It was all about the D-pad.
But how are you going to play Resident Evil 2 without the dual analog sticks or Ape Escape? Like it's just it wouldn't have been the same.
No.
Everyone plays Resident Evil 2 with the D-pad. Come on, the OG. You don't need that. You don't need the joysticks.
Good point.
The old tank controls. Yeah.
Tank controls are better on the D-pad. Rod knows what I'm talking
They
about.
are.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, especially
Even when
if you're
I still play it to this day, I always use the D-pad. Even when I play the PS3, it's the D-pad.
It's out
all
of
the way.
habit. Yeah.
Well, especially if you play the N64 version of Resident Evil 2, you don't have a choice.
Oh, good God. Not with that joystick.
Yeah.
No.
No, you definitely
thank
got to
you.
play with the D-pad on that console.
Yep.
Good. Oh man, it's so cool to hear y'all's origin stories. It also sounds like we all kind of started around the same time as well, which is kind of cool as well. Like especially because 3 of the 4 of us, I think, all started on the NES and older consoles too. So I love hearing about all that stuff. But yeah, it's so cool that we're finally all here to sit down and talk about PlayStation. Now it's time to let some of the friends in the car with us because it's time for the carpool, and we have got so many questions, you guys. It's happening. Let's get into it. And first of all, these first 2 questions I'm about to read kind of stem off what we're talking about and kind of, allow us to kind of, introduce y'all to the fold here. We're going to start with Mike, Blaze Knight 0923, who asked the question, what makes each of you a great fit for the PlayStation Drive? I mean, for me, I feel like, I'm bringing my wealth of PlayStation knowledge to the pool in a lot of ways, being someone who's really been invested in this ecosystem for a long time. I feel like and combined with, my encyclopedic knowledge of games, I feel like I bring a lot to the table as far as the overall knowledge. I also I'm also the type of person that plays almost all the brand new games, which I know we've talked about as a group, is going to be a theme where not all of us play the new games all the time. And that's totally going to be okay. Like this show is going to be a little bit different when it comes to games we're talking about, because there might be a lot of shows where we just talk about old games, and I'm totally cool with that because I love talking about old games. But I feel like I'm pretty good for that. Also, I feel like I'm an okay host. Just like dusting some dirt off my
More
shoulders.
than okay. More than okay.
Yeah.
More than okay.
Yeah, so that's what makes me feel like I, am a good fit for the PlayStation Drive. But I want to hear from you, Matt. Ngachacha.
So for me, I love most, but not all first-party PlayStation games. I'm hoping I'm a good fit because when it comes to the first-party PlayStation games that I do like, I do, and you'll get to know me. I do fanboy pretty hard. Ron knows what I'm talking about. Hashtag The Last of Us Part 2.
It's true.
He knows. I fanboy pretty hard when it's a PlayStation game that I adore. But at the same time, there's some PlayStation games and some of the PlayStation moves that I'm not a fan of, and I won't be. I'll be critical when I need to be critical because I think it's important to have that kind of conversation and dialogue so that we can always push the industry forward and hopefully, gets people thinking more critically. But man, when it comes to those first party PlayStation games, like when they hit like Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 1, The Last of Us Part 2, Concrete Genie, like when those games hit, they hit hard. And in my opinion, you will not get another experience like that on any other platform for sure.
Nice. What about you, Fulya?
Oh boy. I'm not a big AAA PlayStation gamer myself. I've dabbled in some, but haven't really gone all in on them. But I do bring my, my love and my knowledge of indie games that I do also that you can also find on the PlayStation. And I really enjoy playing a lot of those style of games. I do love platformers, so my love for the like Sackboy and Little Big Planet, which was kind of where I first met Sackboy, and just mainly a lot of platformers, but these days it's a lot more indie games for me, and I love playing them, and they're a lot of fun. There's also like some really amazing game developers out there who, you know, deserve a bit more of a spotlight. And that's kind of why I would be a great fit here, because, you know, I want to spotlight all those amazing indies. So yeah, that's what I want to bring to the table.
Fulya, can I ask you a very important question? How many platinum trophies have you gotten this year so far? Because I know you're coming off very humble, like, you know, you don't play all the latest and greatest PlayStation games. You're mostly indie games, but can you just tell the internet, just tell everybody in the community, how many platinum trophies have you gotten so far? Just curious.
Let me preface the fact that the platinum trophies that I got this year were all indie games, and they were all under 5 hours each. I got 4.
There's still platinum trophies.
Thank you, Ryan. Yep. There's still platinum trophies. Yep. All platinum trophies are platinum trophies, regardless.
4 platinum trophies just in January.
Gotcha.
That's 4 more than me. 4 more than me this year.
Saying, I got 0.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, right? Yeah, see,
yeah, but you are all playing. You are all playing really longer games that are like 10 plus hours. I'm playing shorter ones. That's why.
Look,
no. Okay.
Look, I'm gonna get that platinum for Final Fantasy 14 eventually. I'm only 4,000 plus hours into the game, but I will eventually get the platinum trophy for it. Okay, one of these days it's gonna happen. All I have to do is complete 10,000 fates, and I'm already just killing myself just even saying that out loud, because that's too ridiculous. So, that's so much work. Oh my god,
you can do it. But yeah, just let everybody know that Fulya has 4 platinum trophies. It's only February. Ron says he has 0. Ryan has 0. I have 2, but one doesn't really count because it was auto pop from The Last of Us. So it's really, it's just the auto pop. So really, I just have 1. So Fulya, you know, I know acting low key, but she's the MVP for the PlayStation Drive.
Yep. Platinum
just letting everybody know.
Yeah. So clearly, Fulya is just carrying the whole team as far as platinums.
She is.
Oh, come on.
Anyways, Ron, how about you? We got to hear from you, man. What makes you a great fit for the PlayStation Drive?
It's similar to you. I mean, I play AAA, I play indie, several genres. As long as it's not a roguelike or a puzzle game or a strategy game, I'm usually in for it. As Matt will know, if I'm honest about games, if I don't like it, I'll say it. If it's cheeks, I'll say it. And I pretty much get along with everybody. So yeah, I think I'm a pretty good fit.
I like that response. I get along with everybody. I feel like that fits in a little bit. Oh, question from Fulya from the press pool. Go ahead.
Hi. First time, long time. Please explain to those of us who don't know what the meaning of cheeks is.
That's true, because I don't know what you're talking about either.
Do tell.
So when I say a game is cheeks, it's really bad. It's pretty much about as bad as it gets. Sometimes I'll say a game is cheeks and I don't really mean it. It's if I'm messing with Ngachacha or Marcus or a few of my other friends. But for the most part, if I say a game is cheeks, that means it's really bad.
Yeah, just like Ride to Hell Retribution, right? That's a classic example.
Oh God, I never played it. But the reviews. Oof.
That's one of the worst games I've ever played, along with Big Rigs, as well as Desert Bus.
Why did you play it? Why did you play that?
Because I have a thing about playing bad games. Like we did earlier this year. I played through and beat Bill and Ted's Excellent Video Game Adventure, and it was one of the worst video games I've ever played in my entire life. So sometimes I just like to play old games. That's just who I am. Or bad games, I should say. In fact, we've got a good one coming to PlayStation next month. Plumbers Don't Wear Ties remastered. I
saw that in the wish list. I was like, what is this?
I can't wait for Plumbers Don't Wear Ties Definitive Edition. That's an old 3DO game. In fact, there's an Angry Video Game Nerd episode about it, which is really good. And he did it because it's the worst game on 3DO. It's you're basically playing a slideshow of photos with really bad acting. And it's great. So I can't wait for that game. But
oh my God.
Good God. You'll hear about that in March. But moving on. We've only gotten to one question, y'all. We got to get, and we're half an hour in. We got to get through Zoom.
We can do it.
Oops.
Jaden Rose has a couple of questions for us. Although we've kind of answered one already with our origin stories, but let's hop into this. So Jaden Rose says, "Hello, congratulations on becoming the new host of the PlayStation Drive. I'll be cheering y'all on every step of the way. I cannot wait for the amazing content each of you will bring to the podcast. Cheers to the journey ahead. What motivated each of you to take on the role of hosting the PlayStation Drive? And we'll get to the second question in a second. But I'm going to go back to Ron. What motivated you to become a host?
That was the power of friendship. That's all that was. When Sean reached out to all of us and Ngachacha and Fulya were in, that was automatic. Honestly, I wouldn't have did it if they weren't going to do it. I would have said no. So that's all that was. Because I'm not a content creator. I don't get in front of the camera, nothing like that. So it was one of those things. I was like, well, I can't sit there and say no with both of them being excited about doing this. So it's just one of those things, man. You do stuff for the crew, and that's what it was.
Nice. So again, we're just gonna we're kind of like the personification here of like the Yu-Gi-Oh kind of armbands of friendship. We're gonna draw a little mark on our hands, and we're gonna put them all together and be like friendship. That's us.
Yep.
Look, I like Yu-Gi-Oh a lot. Okay, we're expect more Yu-Gi-Oh references on the show going forward. What about you, Ngachacha? What motivated you to become a host for the PlayStation Drive?
If you have not signed up for the Patreon, you have to sign up for the Patreon, because we actually talked a little bit about this on the latest episode of BTS. But just like what Ron said, it honestly was for the power of friendship. Like, when the opportunity was there for me to hang out with good friends on a weekly basis, I would have been a fool to say no. And then add that on top of that, where it's talking about PlayStation games, hanging out with this beautiful community at Carpool Gaming, I'd have to be a fool to say no. So there's no way I'd pass up on an opportunity for so much wholesome chaos on a weekly basis.
Excellent. Because we are here for the chaos. Again, we have to kind of evoke the power of Matt a little bit, evoke the chaos a little bit, because Matt was always really good about bringing the chaos to the show. And I feel like we need to kind of let that memory live on with the show and bringing some chaos a little bit, which is why I go to Fulya now, chaotically, and ask you, what motivated you to become a host of the show? Is it same kind of reasons as these fine folks, or you got your own koala-based reasons?
Well, I'm not much of a content creator myself, as you can see, but
Stop it. Stop.
I was just going to say, these guys might just jump down your throat if you say that.
The drop bear is coming out. Okay.
Yeah, let's do 100%.
Hey, only I could be the drop bear. Thank you very much. Anyways, for me, yeah, no. As soon as I found out that I was going to be podcasting with Ron and with Ngachacha, I was just like, of course, why wouldn't I do this? It's like being able to hang out with all of you on a weekly basis, just like what Ngachacha said, and just being able to just talk, games in general, even if it's not PlayStation. It's like, just, I don't always have very many people to talk games with here. And the only time I get to do that is if I'm at work. And even then, it's not really a social setting for me to be able to do that. So this, I feel, even though it may not be a social setting, but to me it is. And I feel like this is like going to be my way to be able to just talk about the games that I've been playing and learning about the games that you all have been playing. But as a little side thing for me personally, it's more of a way for me to improve on my own podcasting skills, because I also podcast separately with a bunch of friends and on my own. So it's a way for me to improve on those skills for myself and see where that will take me in the future. So
nice. I like those reasons as well. I also I'm starting to feel like, we are kind of like, also like the thumbnail kind of tried to portray, where we're kind of like Voltron. We're a team. We're a team of friendship here, PlayStation Drive. And you can expect, just like Lachlan says in the chat, she loves the positivity. We're here about the positivity, friends. That is definitely going to be kind of the theme of this show a little bit. Of course, to Ngachacha's point from a little bit earlier, we will of course, call out certain things, but we will try and be positive. This is kind of what we're aiming for with the show. But Jaden Rose, this other question is, what was the first PlayStation game y'all ever played? Thank you so much for answering my questions. And we talked about it a little bit with our origin stories. I know for me, I mentioned this exact copy of Lunar the Silver Star Story Complete was the first PlayStation game that I played. So what about y'all? What about y'all? Is there a game that was different that we didn't mention Yeah, Resident Evil 2. I remember Ngachacha said that.
Resident Evil 2, at least that's the one I remember. I don't know if there was another PlayStation game that I rented, but not in my childhood memory. This is the one.
Again, you lucked out. At least it's not the N64 version of that game, because that's real bad. Yeah. What about you, Ron or Fulya?
I played Jumping Flash demo. Was the first one I had played. I came. Yeah, that was interesting.
It's Jim Ryan's favorite game. I don't know if you knew that, but he said that in an interview.
No,
it's his favorite game.
I didn't hate it. It was just very. I wasn't really sure on it because I didn't really see the point of it, really. But the graphics were like really fresh at the time, so it did its purpose. It got me interested in PlayStation, that's for sure. But yeah, I wish another demo had probably been there, but Jumping Flash was fine.
Okay, well, you got to get introduced to the platform somehow, right? Yeah. What about you, Fulya? What was the first PlayStation game you ever played?
Okay, well, I don't remember what exactly my first PlayStation game was, to be honest. However, I I do have my earliest memories of my first PlayStation games that I do remember playing. One of them being this little gem here, Crash Bandicoot 2 on the PlayStation, which I never finished, but I always
these were hard games.
It was really difficult.
Yeah,
that's a hard game.
For young Fulya, it was a very difficult game. And so this was the one thing that I would always be rage quitting, but coming back to whenever I was playing it. But the other fond memories and earliest memories of my PlayStation days were a couple of were these two games. Wacky Races and Bugs Bunny Lost in Time.
Dear God, help us.
What? Are they not good games?
I heard Wacky Races actually isn't that bad.
I don't. Oh.
Wacky Races was my introduction to racing and to stuff that's similar to kind of like Mario Kart racing. This was my first ever introduction to those type of games.
Nice.
And this was interesting because I don't think I ever got past the first area, which was like the introduction part where you have to get through the tutorial stage. It was so hard, but I would love to be able to go back and try to like play through it in some capacity because I kind of miss playing them.
Good God.
Just leave them on the shelf.
So the tutorial was hard. Is that it? The tutorial was bad?
I don't know. Maybe just lack of instructions, or I just wasn't sure what to do. So maybe adult me would probably know how to play through it properly.
Hopefully. Also, I gotta say, shout out to y'all. I didn't mention that we needed to bring physicals, but shout out to y'all for bringing physicals. Also, shout out to Fulya because I forgot that y'all have different, cover art, box art for the Australian versions of games. So it's really cool getting to see them over here.
They're very different.
Yeah, they're very different because like I said, this copy of Final Fantasy VII looks very different probably than the version you have where it says PlayStation on the bottom instead. So there you go. Well, moving on, I want to bring in the two former hosts of the PlayStation Drive because they both submitted questions this week. And I want to make sure that we of course, gave them the proper shout outs. We're going to start with Matt Sawinski over on Twitter at Matt_Silversoul, who asks, if you could bring back one legacy PlayStation character back, aka Crash or Spyro or so on, out from for a game outside of their own genre, so a Crash role-playing game, for example, who would you bring back and in what genre? So this is an interesting question because I would say I would love to have like a Heavenly Sword match 3 puzzle game. That's what I want. I want like little gems, and then Andy Serkis's head get whenever you like match 4 come up and be like excellent, and then like with like the music from Heavenly Sword in the background. Like I kind of want like a match 3 puzzle game based off Heavenly Sword. But I want to know what you think. I'm gonna start with Ngachacha.
I don't know how I'm gonna follow up with that because I'm very creative, but it's kind of want to try it, to be quite honest. That's quite the pitch. You know what? it would be a game I've never played like before. So I actually kind of
See?
like that answer.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
clearly this is just me just playing too much of Microsoft Jeweled in order to earn Microsoft rewards points on my phone, and that's just infiltrated my brain somehow. So, anyways, continue, Ngachacha.
So again, I don't really have much of an attachment to the PS1 legacy characters because again, I just rented the PS1 and just kept playing Resident Evil 2 over and over and over again. So if I had to go through a legacy character, I don't know, it'd have to be like Cole from Infamous because that's the most recent memory I have. I know he's not a legacy character. Please
That
don't be
still
mad.
counts though, because like
Whoa,
Matt's question is kind of
kinda
like a legacy character that's been out of the thing for a
Yeah.
while. So it still counts.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, I would like a card-based RPG with not just Cole, but just all the Infamous characters. Ryan, hold on. I'm not done yet. Just hold on. Let me finish, okay? So Cole's in it. The main character from Second Son, First Light, they're all in there, team-based, but you got cards because we all know that card-based RPGs are S tier, right? So I would like that. They got different powers, different abilities. Just hear me out, PlayStation. Just think about it. Just let it cook. I think we can make it happen.
I think
Jim,
you
no.
just made Garrett Bland very excited.
Please don't, Jim.
You're welcome.
All right, so we've got a card-based role-playing game, and we got a match-3 puzzle game. Ron, what do you got for us next?
I would have to bring back Gabriel Logan from Siphon Filter. But I would probably put him in an RPG, kind of like Alpha Protocol, because we don't have any spy RPG representation. And Gabriel Logan would be perfect for it.
That's a good one. That's like too good of an idea. In fact, I'm mad that doesn't exist now.
It should.
Thank you for doing that, because I love Alpha Protocol, and I really, really would love to. I'm so surprised no one stole that idea. No one's stolen that idea since then. So
feel free to take it, Jim. Whoever's listening take it. Run with it.
Good God forbid, just have Sega just make another Alpha Protocol. Like, what are we doing here?
Oh, that would be great. That would be great.
Yeah. For those that don't know, by the way, Alpha Protocol is a game that we talk about on RPG Cave all the time. It's a BioWare style spy role playing game with choices and all kinds of cool stuff. It's a great game. Go play it. It's on the PlayStation 3. But Fulya, what about you? We got a spy RPG, a card-based RPG, and a match-3 puzzle game. What do you got for me?
Okay, I'm gonna bring it down to the wholesome, cozy side of things, and I'm also gonna say I want it to be an RPG. But I want a Sackboy 2D RPG, sort of akin to like a Paper Mario kind of.
Oh my God, I want that. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yes. Printing money. Oh, please. Please.
Look at that.
That
so good.
would be so much fun. I would 100% play a Sackboy Paper Mario style RPG game, because I'm new to the RPG genre. I've only been playing it in the last few years, so that would definitely get my attention, and I would definitely playing it. More so though, I don't know how much of it I'd want it to be kind of open worldy, but I feel like it needs to be kind of side scrolly in a way. I think side scrolly would be great. A side scroll 2D RPG with Sackboy.
That's a great idea. I never thought about that. Like, that's really, really good. And we don't really have like an RPG like that on PlayStation, besides, something like Bug Fables and a couple other like indie style RPGs. So it would be awesome to see PlayStation go like that. Look at this crew. I'm so proud of this crew. All RPGs except for me.
All the platinums coming up with great ideas for games.
Yeah, it's so good. Also, my backup one was a Parappa the Rapper skateboarding game like Tony Hawk. I think that would be good too.
Oh, that'd be dope. That's actually a really good idea too.
Someone please explain to me who this Parappa the Rapper is, because I am so confused.
So Parappa the Rapper is a rapping dog from his own video game called Parappa the Rapper that was on the PlayStation 1. It's a rhythm game. It's it's got rapping. It's also available. They did like a re-release of it on the PlayStation 4. So I think that you can actually get that now on your PlayStation 5 and play it. Although I wouldn't play that one because it's very out of sync with the music, and it's very
rough.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's rough.
No pun intended, because it's a dog. Rough. See what I
Oh
did there?
God,
Oh,
You're saying rough. That's what dogs say.
Ryan, that was not an alley-oop. You did not have to take that.
Look,
approved.
moving on.
Approved.
Anyways, we got Court Lalonde, who says, no question, but I wanted to say good luck to you all. I can't wait to listen to the show, and I'm so excited for all of you. So shout out to Court and Matt, who
Shout out to
both
Court.
wrote in this week,
Matt,
Yes.
love
Thank you, Court.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, guys.
giving us their
Thank
blessing.
you.
Next up, we got Mr. Badbit, another PlayStation host, who wants to know, I want to know if you're the best fit to run this podcast, so I'm giving you the tough questions.
Joe.
Who wins in a fight? And we've got two different fights here. We'll start with the first one. Ellie versus Alloy. Who wins in a fight? So that's the thing. Like, I know, like, we had asked for parameters on Twitter. No parameters were defined. So we assume they have all their weapons and gadgets and stuff. So I'm going to say Aloy wins in a heartbeat. 100% over Ellie. Ellie's like battle tested, but she can't compete with someone who hunts down robot dinosaurs.
It's like
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Robot dinosaurs. Like, not just robots, not just dinosaurs, but robot dinosaurs that she takes down easily. Like, it's not even a discussion.
Especially because, like, don't get me wrong, like, the infected from the Last of Us, they're very dangerous. So that's not to, diminish that threat at all. But they're not robot dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So
Not the same.
I definitely think Aloy. But Fulya, I didn't hear you weigh in on this. Do you agree with us? What do you think?
I don't know anything about those two characters because I've never played the games from them, so I have
Perfect.
no idea.
Okay.
I can't
We're going
really
to
weigh
change
in
that.
on it.
Okay, sounds
We're
good.
gonna change that.
Yeah, we'll
We'll
change
return.
that. We'll
This is
convince
why I feel like this question from Joe, I feel I am disappointing him right now.
you. Oh no!
You're not.
Nah,
Don't let Mr. Babbitt say this.
No.
They're available.
No.
You can play them. So that's all.
Yeah, that was the purpose of Joe's question, to get us arguing, but we haven't, and then to get Fulya to play one of the games from these choices. And the best ones are obviously The Last of Us and the next question, which Ryan will read out.
I was just about to get to it. Yes. So the other fight, Joel from The Last of Us versus Leon S. Kennedy from a myriad of Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4. I think it just depends on which.
It's not a discussion. It's not a discussion.
it really
Leon
Leon
S. tier Kennedy. Like, who roundhouse kicks, monsters, suplexes, grannies and grandpas. Like, how is this even a discussion?
Nasty. Come on.
Yeah.
And look at
Joe. I like Joe, but he wouldn't stand a chance, man.
he wouldn't.
I might
And
throw a little caveat in here.
Oh,
I
no.
feel like if it's Leon from the beginning of Resident Evil 2, Joel stands a chance against like very green Leon Kennedy, like before he kind of goes through that whole transformation he kind of goes on through that game.
Or you became a complete badass.
Yeah, exactly. But like by the end of that game where you're fighting giant crocodiles in the sewers, like forget it. Joel doesn't stand a chance against that person. But so
Okay,
no,
you brought up a good point.
Come on,
That
you
makes
think
sense. But if we're going to talk about seasoned veteran Leon,
seasoned veteran Leon S. Kennedy at Resident Evil 6, he holds his own against Chris Redfield. And if people don't know who Chris Redfield is the boulder punching superhero that punched the boulder over a cliff. And Leon he kept his own against him. Okay, so Leon S. Kennedy, who can hold his own against crocodiles and monsters, and Chris Redfield versus Joel Miller. I love him, but come on, no competition.
All day. And no golf club needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No golf club needed.
Yeah.
Just his beautiful face.
Yeah. I have a feeling we probably both agree with, all agree here with Mr. K-Step, Kyle Stevenson, because like I'm pretty sure Joe is in the favor of the Last of Us people be able to beat all these people, but I guess we'll find out. I'm sure Mr. Badbit will have to let us know how well we did if we pass the test.
Oh,
if
Joe
we're
will tell
good
us.
fit to
Joe
run
will
the
tell us
show.
for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Let us
Next
know.
question comes to us from Marcus O'Neill, who says, "This is mainly for Ngachacha, although I fully expect y'all to weigh in on this question. With comparisons being made to Nier Automata, what is the game that will break your self-imposed promise to not buy new games in 2024? And why is that game Stella Blade?" So, Ngachacha, I give you the floor since this question's aimed for you.
I love the question format. A little bit biased towards it. Just to give preface to it. So this year, I have joined the movement with Sean Capri, and many dozens of us have also joined this movement where we are not buying new games in 2024 with a few exceptions. So my exceptions, loopholes, explanations, clarifications are I'm not buying new games unless it's games on Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Plus Extra, or two games that I already pre-ordered before I made this promise, which was The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And outside of those, plus the games I do play for the backtrackers, I am not buying new games in 2024 because I have an extensive backlog. And
Yes, Locke.
the movement with all the exceptions. Not all, there's just a few. It's just a few.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I feel like we need to start getting like the sheets that we made for Sean for you as well with the
I know,
defined rules on
Ngachacha,
it.
do you want me to write one up for you as well?
No, I got it. I
All
remember.
the loopholes. All the loopholes.
So, with all of my clarifications, I'm not buying new games in 2024. And I have resisted quite a few. Shout out to Matt Sawinski for reminding me many times that there's Resident Evil 4 Gold Edition. I've not bought it. Thank you for reminding me that it exists, even though I wanted it. But to answer Marcus' question, before my co-hosts and anybody listening rolls their eyes so far back their heads when I give my response, just let me explain. Just let me finish. So I'm a big fan of Nier Automata, and the biggest reason why I love that game is for the plot. And when I say the plot, I actually mean it. It is for the story. Please don't barf, Ron. Please don't tell me it's cheeks. Hold in your vomit. But it is because I actually like the story. When I think about Nier Automata and the gameplay is good, but that's not what hooked me. So when there's other games that are being recommended to me because they might look like Nier Automata, such as Stellar Blade, if it's not by Yoko Taro, who's the director who wrote the story, I don't think I'm going to be interested day one. I might need to play it a bit later. So no, Stellar Blade does not move the needle for me for a day one purchase. I'm keeping my eye on it because the gameplay looks fun. But that's definitely not the game that's going to break me for my movement with Sean Capri of not buying new games. That's definitely not it for sure. Sorry to disappoint everybody.
That seems fair.
I'm surprised. I'm
Ju-
surprised.
Well, actually, that doesn't surprise me a lot because we just don't know enough about the story about Stellar Blade at this point. So it's like, who knows if that story is any good? It could be like the Ninja Gaiden
Ryan,
games where the story
don't
makes
let
literally
Matt
no
fool you.
sense.
It was all about 2B. Don't you let him fool you.
But you don't play through as 2B through like the whole
The
game.
plot has nothing to do with it. The plot has nothing to do with it. It's like Stellar Blade. Garrett will understand. Dr. Bland, he understands. Stellar Blade. We have nicknamed it Stellar Booty Blade. That's what everybody's gonna come for. They're not worried about the story at all. They're coming there for the action and Eve. That's it.
I will, of course, mention I'll be playing Stellar Blade this year, so you all just have to hear about it from me, and that's just gonna be fine.
That's fine. I'll be playing it eventually.
Yeah, exactly. And Fulya, I think we'll play it one day when we just we'll just add it to the list of games.
Look at her already. Let's see the shrug.
She's got a big list of games we're forcing her to play.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just the exact problem happens on RPG Cave, where every time Garrett comes on the show with me, there's like 8 new games added to his backlog every time we podcast together. So that's
like
how
my backlog isn't big enough.
Nope, this is just going to make it so much worse, and you're just going to love
You'll be fine. You'll get through it. You'll be all right.
Yeah. Next up, we got Quaggy, who says, "Hi, the first time PlayStation Drive listener. I've never owned a PlayStation, but I'm previously playing PlayStation exclusive Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age, if that counts for something. As an icebreaker for the show, which is one game that describes your gaming preferences or proves that games are a work of art? And why is that game Nier Automata? Of course, shout out to Ngachacha for that one.
What's going on?
There you go. Of course, I love the fact that now you're part of the show. So now everyone has like to ask the Ngachacha style questions for the show. I'm just gonna come out and say, the way that the game that describes Ryan's gaming tastes perfectly is a game known as Unicorn Overlord. It's got gorgeous visuals. It's got a cool looking story. It's got strategy. It's got role-playing game. Like that's like the most Ryan Turford game I've seen in a long time. And that game ain't even out yet, but it perfectly exemplifies
It was great though.
everything that I personally love about games. So, just get throwing it out there. But what about y'all? Like, Ngachacha, does Nier Automata fill this void? Is it Resident Evil 2? Like what game feels like describes like your perfect kind of gaming tastes?
That's a bit tough to pinpoint it to one game.
Yep.
But again, I don't want to go in too deep into the weeds about me talking about Nier Automata, Resident Evil, and The Last of Us. I kind of want to talk a little bit about. He mentioned stuff about how games and art, and yes, those games do come to mind. But I want to give a big shout out to Concrete Genie. I feel like that's like a game that not everybody got to experience. It's a fantastic game. I know it's literally an actual game about art, but it truly is one of those shining examples of how video games is a beautiful medium. It is quite different and unique compared to television and movies. It's my favorite medium of entertainment. And Concrete Genie, there's just something so powerful about the music, the environment, and just when you're creating art in that game, it evokes such powerful emotions. And again, it's because you're part of the experience, and it's such an immersive one. So, not my perfect game in the sense that this is my top favorite game of all time, but it's a special one. It truly is, and I hope more people give it a chance.
Yeah,
nice
choice. Underrated.
Yeah, you definitely won Seth over in the chat, who, of course, big fan of that answer. Fulya, what about you? I feel like you probably would have like an interesting answer to this question.
So for me, it's my style of games that I tend to play is very, very wholesome, very cozy style. I tend to play a lot of indie games, but if I'm gonna give it a game name, I would probably say Astrobot's Playroom was probably. That's kind of my style of gaming. Like it's platformers. It's got so many it's bright in its colors. It's beautiful in the way that it's that it's made. The music also just is amazing, and it's also a way of showing off what a console can do, especially that DualSense controller. Like holy moly, I was blown away when I, playing Astrobot for the first time on my PS5, and all of a sudden, like a whole myriad of things just opened up for me, and I absolutely loved it so much. And the gameplay of Astrobot is just so adorable, and it's also very wholesome as well, and it's also a very easy play. So go get it.
Nice. I mean, it's free, so.
Exactly.
It comes with your console. So.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I would have paid for it. That was a good game.
Yeah.
It's going to be Ghost of Tsushima for me.
Okay.
That really covers all the bases from the gameplay, the soundtrack, the voice acting, the story, the look of it, the environments. That game really is about as great as it gets. When you want to say this is what puts it on that level of art, and for anybody who wants to say that games are for kids, Ghost is just a great game all around.
Nice. Also, the chat keeps telling us this is also Seth's favorite game as well. So
that's what I've heard.
It's a
television.
It's abandoned. I haven't forgotten.
I feel as though this is probably correct. Seth probably a big fan. Ghost of Tsushima. So nice.
He claims he liked it.
I mean, I liked that game. So
he claims he liked it.
Moving on. We got Solo, who says, I love trophy names. What is 3 of each of your favorite PlayStation trophies due to name alone? Also, in the get to know you fashion, what console number did you become a PlayStation player upon? And do you love your Portal? So we talked about where we kind of started with our PlayStations. And likewise, I think I'm the only one with the PlayStation Portal. Is that correct? Yeah.
Playing on my phone. Just
I'll
playing
have
on my
one.
phone.
Yeah. I like the Portal a lot. I think it's a good device, especially if I want to watch like something that I've been doing a lot lately, which is watching movies or TV shows on DVD, like
I know
James
it's coming.
Cameron's Dark Angel season 2 now available on
Yes.
DVD.
The unofficial mascot of the PlayStation Drive. I knew how
Yeah.
he was coming.
Yeah. So
I was waiting for it.
yeah, so I do like the playing the Portal while watching, DVDs and of other things. Actually, I've been watching a lot of DVDs of anime because Funimation, their service is getting shut down soon, and there's a lot of anime that is not on Funimation, but I have on DVD. So I've been going back and watching some of that stuff. Like I've been watching like the Slayers and Escaflowne and some other stuff. So I liked doing that while being able to play like Persona 3 Reload or Final Fantasy 14, the palm of my hands while I do that. So yeah, the Portal's pretty cool, but I forgot to do research for this question ahead of time because there's so many trophies out there and I don't really have any. So Fulya, you've got the notebook and you pointed to yourself.
I also did not have enough
Always got the
time.
platinums.
What?
You got the
No,
platinum.
I did not have time to
Yeah.
research titles for trophies.
Yeah. I was going to say this one's like a little bit hard because like, unless there was one for us that like specifically came to mind, like we'd have to do some more research. Like maybe, do we want to maybe pin this one for next week's show? And maybe we can look through some of our trophies some more. Because we just didn't have enough
I
time
did a
to go
little
through
bit of
that.
research, but I couldn't find
We
anything
can
like
pin
really
it.
interesting.
We
that
can
stood
pin
out.
Yeah. We're gonna, you know what, Solo, we'll pin this for next week. We'll pin in it and then save that for next week. But next up we got Antics, who's got a couple questions. First off, congrats. Can't wait to see the next volume of the PlayStation Drive come to fruition, even if secrets were kept from us. Seriously, though, congratulations, friends. Y'all will do amazing. And then Antics has 2 questions. What's one PlayStation game that was completely outside of your usual acquired tastes in gaming, but you ended up absolutely loving? And there's a second question, but we'll get to that in a second because I need to scroll over here. I need to get a little physical because for me, when I went to Japan for the first time back in 2014, I brought my PlayStation Vita with me and I was going through some games that I'd picked up, and there's one game I kept hearing about how it's great, had great reviews, and I just didn't really know about it ahead of time. That game was Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. Of course, this is Monokuma of a stuffed Monokuma. He, of course, is like the antagonist of the Danganronpa games. And I wasn't really into visual novels at all, or even like courtroom style games, because this game is very much a visual novel, but also it's kind of like Phoenix Wright at the same time, and also a detective game, and they kind of are all like rolled into one. But this game really won me over in a way I wasn't expecting, where I basically played it on the plane ride to Japan and loved every single minute of it, to the point where, when I was in Tokyo, when I went to Akihabara, I'm like, okay, I need to track down to see if there's a stuffed Monokuma that I can find to bring home with me. So this is the one I brought. I actually ended up picking up at Super Potato, which of course is one of the world's most famous video game stores in Akihabara, and brought this one home with me. And I got into way more into visual novels after that, but it was all because of Danganronpa, because honestly, it was a game that I just wasn't like in the genre I just was not into at all with visual novels, and it really won me over. And that a game, of course, was a PlayStation exclusive for a long time. Of course, now it's on everything, but at the time, played it on the Vita, and it was fantastic. But I want to know from y'all if y'all have anything from this. So, Fulya, consult the notebook. What do you have an answer for this one?
I literally just wrote it down.
Excellent. Perfect timing.
Homework on the fly.
So I have mentioned that I'm pretty new to the RPG scene. So I didn't actually think that I would really enjoy RPGs. And the game that really brain fighting right now.
The game that got you into RPGs.
The game that got me really into RPGs and wanting to play it a lot more was Final Fantasy 16.
Let's go.
Heck yeah. Let's go.
People might not even call
Marcus-
that an
Marcus will
RPG,
be
but
upset
I
over
will
that
go
one.
ahead and give you the win on that.
Final Fantasy
Yes.
16 is my first ever Final Fantasy game. I didn't think that I would like it. My workmate was like, just play the demo, just try the prologue, see if you like it. If you like story-based things, you're gonna enjoy this. I'm like, okay, let me try it out. So I tried the prologue, and the story immediately got me so hooked. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to buy this day one then. And
Just
so
proves like demos work.
Clive and Sid had nothing
it
to do
really
with it, huh?
does. No, it did the story. It was definitely the story.
The plot, Ron. It was the plot.
Yeah, exactly. It was the plot.
It was always the
Oh,
plot.
Yeah, and her 900 pictures of Clive.
Look, Clive had to go dig up that
Telling the
dirt for
plot.
the people and then bring the dirt
Yeah.
from here to there. Like that was a thing.
The plot,
Yeah.
Ron. Come on, we know that.
It was
That's the story.
definitely the plot. Yeah, no, Final Fantasy 16. The story was just insane. It was so good, and I did not expect myself to want to play it from start to finish. And shout out to my community. I played it on stream, and it took because I was playing it on stream, it took me like 4 months to get through it because of the fact that I was only playing it once or twice a week. But the other thing was the fact that off stream I would then be playing through like side quests in my own time, and I was really enjoying all the side quests as well. So, and just it was the scenery of that game was just absolutely beautiful, and like the cutscenes, the storytelling in general, the music. Oh my goodness, it was such an amazing game that now I feel like I want to be like in the whole the RPG side of things. I want to learn more about them. I want to try out new ones and find the ones that really tick with me. So yeah, Final Fantasy 16 is my answer.
Nice. Well, that'll actually play nicely into the second question, but we'll get to that in a second because we got to hear from Ron first. Interested to know, Ron, was there a game on PlayStation that kind of turned you around on a genre?
Yeah, 13 Sentinels.
That's a good one.
The part where it was mostly visual novel, side scrolling, I was perfectly cool with that. I would play that by itself. But the RTS battles, that was originally what kept me away from the game. But one of my best friends kept telling me, you need to play it. The story is great. Don't worry about the RTS part. I'm telling you, just play it. So I caved in and went ahead and got it. And I'm not gonna lie, I know that's the part that everybody says is the weakest about the game, but I really enjoyed the RTS battles a lot. So that, and then on top of the story, as wild as it gets, yeah, 13 Sentinels that's what turned me around. That was great. Yeah,
nice. That's a great pick. Like that's for people who don't know, that's one of my favorite games of the last generation. I love 13 Sentinels, and especially during those mech battles, Ron. The music, oh my god, the music during those like battles is so awesome. It's so good. Such a great game. Which is why I can't wait for Unicorn Overlord, because I love Vanillaware's games.
And that's the reason why I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah. But what about you, Ngachacha?
Hold on. Is it true that 13 Sentinels is just like Nier Automata in terms of story? Because that's what everybody tells me.
It's not just like Nier Automata. The story is better in that game.
So I have to check this
there
out.
You go.
Interesting.
You,
All right.
you really, really owe it to yourself to check it out at some point. It's really good.
It is.
All right. That I'm pretty sure I nabbed that on PS Plus. So still with it. So part of my loophole clarification explanations.
Here we go.
So I'm still good. In terms of a game that I played on PlayStation, I wasn't expecting. Boyfriend Dungeon was a game that we played for the Backtrackers, I think, year one, and I think it's like a mashup of like dungeon crawling plus dating sim. So I'm not particularly into dungeon crawlers, and in terms of dating sims, I've never actually played one that's so heavy involved. Like I've played games that have some dating aspects or like some romance options, like in Mass Effect, but nothing like where it's a integral part of it. And I absolutely loved Boyfriend Dungeon, and the dungeon crawling was the part that I forgot about the most. But the dating, how you're flirting with people, the music. I was obsessed with it. And ever since then, I was like, you know what? More dating sim games, sign me up, because I had so much fun playing Boyfriend Dungeon. I think there's another game I really want to check out, Thirsty Suitors. I think it gave me like the same vibes. Like, I'm all for
That
it.
game
Give me them
crazy.
dating games.
Yeah, that was one I played last year that was like really surprisingly good as well. So you should check it out at some point as well, because it's another cool RPG. But speaking of RPGs, second question from Antics, which is directed directly at Fulya. What is the first official PlayStation Drive RPG that the koala is going to be bugged into playing by the group? So the three of us need to converse a little bit.
We've already decided. Ron's
two
favorite,
words.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Elden Ring.
Ron already said it.
Elden Ring. That's it.
I don't know. I feel like Fulya would
what
be
we
a big
discussed.
fan of Parasite Eve. I feel like maybe that's the direction to go with.
Oh God, we're all over the place. No,
Looks like we're
Oh,
not
she
as
just
united as you thought.
she
So-
said Final Fantasy 16. Seven's the ones that make the most sense. Remake.
Yeah.
Come on, let us
To
know,
be-
Fulya. Who are you siding with? Which one is it?
don't know.
To be fair, I
You
actually
don't wanna
think
play Final
Ngachacha, you
Fantasy.
bring up a
Don't
good
do
point, because like 7 Remake seems like a great like follow-up RPG to 16 and a way to get her more into RPG. So maybe that's the direction you go. But
There's other
You'll
shit
love the
to say.
plot. You will love the plot in Final Fantasy VII Remake. I promise.
even with the ghosts,
Mm.
She'll love the plot. Okay, don't worry.
yeah. Good God. Garrett, of course, apologizes on our behalf.
It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, Garrett. Persona 5 Royal. Yes. Anything
I'll
but
allow it.
Final Fantasy 7, please.
Well, not anything. I'll allow Persona 5 Royal.
Anything but
That's
No, see,
that's fair.
Persona 5 Royal, the thing is, that's
That's good.
tough because that's like such a big time commitment. And I would hate to do that to someone who's just getting into RPGs. Like that's like that we talk, like Garrett and I talk about it on RPG Cave. In fact, we did a whole episode series about like our RPG Cave beginner's guide, where, you know, we recommended a bunch of different games that were good for people starting with role-playing games. And we both discussed, you know, as a group that, and talked about why I think Persona 5 Royal just doesn't really fit in there, because it is like a tough ask to be like, hey, person who doesn't like RPGs, all right, now to
Yeah,
get into
it's not
RPGs,
accessible.
here's a
I would
120-hour game. Enjoy. And it's just,
Yeah.
that's a tough ask. Which of course, Awesome Dave just swings in with the correct answer, which is Final Fantasy VIII, apparently.
No,
But-
Awesome Dave. I said Final Fantasy VII Remake, not Final Fantasy VIII. Mm-mm.
Good God.
You know what?
This is gonna-
I'll
this is
take
gonna be
Final
the
Fantasy 8 over Rebirth Remake. So yeah,
Oh, God.
fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the
I'm with
real
8 for
answer-
the first time ever, I'm with Dave. I'm
The-
with Dave. I will play 8 again in that horrible junction system. That game
So-
was
You
complete
win.
cheeks, but I'll play it.
God, he said it.
You did it. Congratulations.
Yeah. So all we've done is we've really settled fully on the correct answer, which is Plumbers Don't Wear Ties Remastered Edition coming out in March. And that's it. That's
Done.
what we settled on.
Done.
Perfect.
Done.
Yep. Moving on. We got, oh my God, we got a long one from Drellish, who says, I'm so excited to
Eight
hear
water.
y'all for the first time. So first of all, for y'all, congrats to the 3 new faces, or the 3 new Stooges, question mark. Ryan is more like the Gandalf character here. I was thinking of posting 4 additional questions, but I'll leave that for the future. Just 3 questions today, lol, on top of all the
Thank
other
goodness.
questions we got going on. And this is very much a Josh thing, by the way. So I'm chuckling a little bit while reading this. So Josh's first question. I would like to know from each and every one of you, how excited are you to be the new host of the PlayStation Drive? What thoughts go through your minds at my old home turf drive? Now, we talked about that a little bit, because I got y'all's hype level.
Yeah.
We talked about how your motivations and stuff like that. So I feel like probably could just get past that, unless anyone wants to add anything before we move past this one that hasn't been said. But
No, I'm good.
cool. Next up, if the new PlayStation Drive was ice cream, what new flavor would it be now, and what kind of topping would reflect your individual personality? So what type of flavor of ice cream is the new PlayStation Drive? I feel like blue raspberry is probably what I would throw in here as like the type of ice cream flavor, because, you know, PlayStation is very blue, blue raspberry is a flavor that I like because you got it's either that or it's bubblegum flavor, and I don't know if I like bubblegum flavor ice cream, so I'm gonna go with blue raspberry. We're blue raspberry, and I feel like for to add a topping for me, it'd probably be like Oreo pieces. Cause that's just very reminiscent of my personality. But what do y'all think about this? Am I crazy? I'm gonna start with Ngachacha. What flavor of ice cream is the shell, man?
My lactose intolerant body has no response to this question. It's a little offensive too. Not gonna lie.
Jesus.
I'll pass it on. I'll pass it on to Fulya Ron.
Ngachacha, what about where you don't like sorbets or like dairy-free ice creams?
You know what flavors taste like just because you don't eat them. No, you know what these flavors are.
They're
tasting.
not the same.
Yeah,
and I'm just reminded that they're not the same. And I'm just reminded that I can't have ice cream. I'm just gonna suffer. So I don't know.
Jesus.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry, man.
I'm with you on that. They're not the same.
Yeah.
I can't even believe that. Sorbet. That's not ice cream.
Good God.
It's gelato. It's great. It's great for the people who don't want to have anything with dairy in it.
Fine.
You're not wrong. Because it's either that or no ice cream at all.
She's right. She's right. It's fine.
Yeah. All right. Ngachacha officially passed the question to Ron. So Ron, what flavor of ice cream is the show?
I thought about this question. I don't have an answer for that one. That's just that's way over. That's way over what I could. Yeah. Nah. I had to pass. Hopefully, Fulya will have something because I don't.
Come on, Fulya, save us, please.
Yes, you can have ice cream. Have at it, okay? Don't let my lactose intolerant body stop
All right.
you from
So far,
enjoying the
we've
question.
got blue raspberry. We need something else.
Blue raspberry. Wow, that's a flavor that is not that popular here in Australia. But anyway, I'm not quite sure what the PlayStation Drive flavor ice cream would be. To be honest,
Yeah.
Like if it was me specifically, I would probably say that this would be this is more of a kind of like a mocha flavor. It's like a coffee and a chocolate sort of a swirl. We've got the sweetness and we've also got the caffeine hype. So like that's what I feel like. It's like a mocha flavor. And then I would use my personal favorite topping, which is Ice Magic chocolate sauce, which as soon as you put it on, it just freezes on top of the ice cream. And you've got yourself a nice hard shell chocolate sauce. And it's amazing.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you explained that because I had no idea what that was.
I thought I was supposed to.
I've heard of that. I was like, I've never heard of that. Thank you for telling us.
Yeah, Ice
cool.
Magic is very Australian topping. Chocolate sauce topping, and it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Okay. Yeah. And if I was to, add on to that a little bit, Fulya, but like if I had to come up with an ice cream flavor for myself, I would say mint chip because I'm like, very cool and relaxed, but also, very, thoughtful and planning with the chocolate in there. So there you go. But hope that answers your question.
Good job, Fulya. You saved it. You saved it.
And then last question is, as this is your first time, can you reflect / look back at your trophy that was your first ever trophy on a PlayStation console? Which trophy and which console and which game? I imagine it's probably a bronze trophy. So I'll go first because I've got this in front of me. My very first trophy was from the PS3 when trophies were first introduced. Because I remember that this was a big thing. My first trophy was Repair Your Car from Burnout Paradise. This was a bronze trophy, to Josh's point, for literally awarded for driving through an auto repair in Burnout Paradise, which is literally the first thing you do in that game. So there you go. That's my first trophy was Burnout Paradise, Repair Your Car. But I want to know from y'all, Matt, do you have your first trophy handy?
I did some homework, so it was for Batman Arkham Asylum. Okay. Surprisingly, it was for solving 5% of the Riddler challenges. And the reason why I say that surprisingly is because the trophy after that I got was do a 10-hit combo. So that kind of demonstrates, I must have been really bad at combat because apparently I can solve Riddler trophies, which are atrociously hard, but I couldn't pull off a 10-hit combo in the beginning of the game. Who knew?
Nice. Ron, what about you, man?
Mine was going to be Uncharted Drake's Fortune on the PS3. It was called The First Treasure. And pretty much you got it for getting your first treasure. Yep.
Nice.
Wouldn't
Yeah,
you
that was
know
one of
it,
the
I
first
just
games.
Played that last year.
You did.
Nice. Yeah, that was one of the first games that got trophies. It was Uncharted, Burnout Paradise, Far Cry 2, Metal Gear Solid 4, and there was like a couple other ones that got. Those were like the first games with trophies.
I purposely put off playing Uncharted until when they said the trophies were coming. I just waited to play it and then played it when it came out.
Whereas I didn't play Uncharted when it first came out, but I played it when it was on sale, and that was just happened when the trophies came out. So same kind of deal. I kind of waited for the trophies as well. But Fulya, how about you? What was your first trophy?
Okay, so I had to consult with my True Trophies profile because that was the only thing that would actually show me because I don't remember anything.
I had to do that too, to be fair, because I didn't want to wheel out the PS3 and scroll through the trophies. So
same. So my first trophy was from Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock on the PS3, and I have the whole bundle of instruments as well. And the first trophy from that game was called Lucifer's Accountant. Beat any song with a final score which is evenly divisible by 6.
God,
So specific.
That's so
I still
random.
don't understand the parameters.
Yeah.
I'm kind of confused by it, to be honest.
I don't know how I got that one, but I got it. That's my first trophy.
Excellent.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got that trophy. It's just confusing.
that's really cool. Oh my God.
Ngachacha's gonna go look it up now. He's like, I gotta know.
Lachlan is
Trying to
very
figure this
impressed
out.
with the math.
Mm.
Good God. All right. Next question. Just straight to my heart from Kevin Ainsworth, because this is an Xbox related question, but it, of course, it's PlayStation-ified. So Kevin asks, what's the first Xbox game you're going to get the platinum trophy for on PlayStation? Typed while crying.
Kevin's been killing me.
Yeah. He asked this question, by the way, on Xbox Drive last night as
He
well.
is hurt by this.
Yeah. I mean, from me, I kind of the thing is, I the games we keep hearing that are coming to PlayStation from Xbox are all the games with really hard achievement lists. Like, I don't know if y'all have seen like the Gears of War trophy achievement lists, but like some of those achievements are ridiculous. So imagine the trophy counterparts for some like the seriously achievement, like that's going to be so much work. So like those would normally be the answers of like the games I would probably play on PlayStation. But I don't know. Probably Hi-Fi Rush is probably the easiest one. So that's the one I'd say I'd probably go for. But what about y'all? Ron, what's the first Xbox game you're going to get a platinum trophy for?
I was thinking Gears of War. I hear where you're coming from. The achievement list did look crazy, but I missed out on it when the 360 came out. I had plenty of 360 games, but for some odd reason, I never got around to Gears of War. So I'll get it. I'll give the platinum a shot.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
I honestly don't know, but like I can tell you which game I would never get the platinum trophy that's from Xbox. That's Forza Horizon 5. Because if I can't even do the tutorial, there's no way I can ever get a platinum trophy version for that game. So I don't know. I'm not sure, but if that's the one that's never happening, because too hard for me.
You can't beat the tutorial for Forza? I mean, feel like there's a story here.
Ryan, seriously,
Yeah,
he had
you
a
should have been
hard time.
Oh my God.
It was great.
It's what Ron would say. That tutorial was cheeks.
Oh my God.
Not my fault.
He said it. He said the thing.
Wow.
He really was. He was just done with it. He was like, when is this going to end? And why is this taking 2 hours?
He's just like, get me out of here,
like
Chewie. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He was so done with it. It was, gosh, that was great.
Yeah. All right. Fulya, what's the first Xbox game you're going to platinum with?
Look, honestly, I don't even know what Xbox games are coming to PlayStation.
The answer is they haven't announced anything. So
I was
Yeah,
gonna
they haven't
say.
announced anything. It might just be
Just
rumors for now. We'll
Okay, well, if we get Viva Pinata, then I'll definitely try to get the platinum on that because that game
Makes
was
sense. Makes
so
sense.
fun, and like I would definitely play that in a heartbeat.
That's a good example. I like that. I like your thinking with that.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, and that maybe is just like, hey, what if we get Rare Replay on PlayStation, which has Viva Pinata and all kinds of awesome games in it? That would be really cool. But yeah, it's just the Xbox announcement. It's supposed to happen sometime this week, so like we'll know sometime this week what's happening. But yeah, everyone's just guessing at this point. No one actually knows.
Okay,
but yeah, don't feel bad. Next question comes to us from Awesome Dave 1337, and here we go. I have a very important question. What is your favorite PlayStation 1 era RPG, and why is it Final Fantasy VIII? I'm just gonna
Sorry, Dave.
For a second.
Sorry, Dave. Audio listeners were just shaking our head. Yeah. Sorry, Dave. No.
How could you, Dave? There's so many great options for this, Dave. I'm going to go with one that I recently fell in love with, that I talk about all the time on the RPG Cave. So if you've listened to that show before, you already know what I'm going to say. It's Parasite Eve. Parasite Eve is my favorite PlayStation 1 era RPG. When I look back on them, Final Fantasy VII is great. I love Final Fantasy IX. I love Chrono Cross. I love a bunch of RPGs on that platform. That platform is one of the best platforms for role-playing games. But Parasite Eve, what separates it for me from those other games is just how unique and how it is, and just how that formula feels like it shouldn't work, but it works so well. So that's why I kind of set Parasite Eve on a pedestal above the other PlayStation 1 era role-playing games. But now it's time to hear from y'all. I'm going to start with Ron on this one. What's your favorite PlayStation 1 era role-playing game? Is it Final Fantasy VIII?
No, it's not. I'm sorry, Dave. But it's going to be OG Final Fantasy VII. Everything that everybody's already said about it, everybody knows. It's been out forever. But I would like to give an honorable mention to Suikoden 2.
Okay.
That game's fantastic. If it was not for Final Fantasy VII, Suikoden 2 would be my pick.
Nice. Well, what about you, Ngachacha?
Don't have too much experience with PlayStation 1 games in general, but I did play Final Fantasy VII OG recently, so by default, that is my answer, because that's probably the only PS1 generation RPG game. So congratulations, Final Fantasy VII.
Excellent. Prepare for that to get changed later this year. I'm sure we will find a way to make y'all play some PlayStation 1 role-playing games. I mean, there are so many good ones even just on the PlayStation 5 now. So true. At some point, one of y'all has to play Legend of Dragoon, so I can have a guest on the RPG Cave who can talk about that gosh darn game, because I love Legend of Dragoon as well. That's a really good game. Fulya, the RPG master. What is your favorite PlayStation 1 role-playing game? I don't think you have an answer to this question, but I felt like I needed to ask anyway.
She might surprise
you. She might.
She might.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you the PlayStation ones I have right now. I literally only have... I've got All-Star Racing. I've got Disney's Atlantis, The Lost Empire. I have Anna Kournikovas Tennis. Smash Tennis.
Let's go.
Which was the one game that I obsessed over so much. I loved it that much.
I didn't see that.
And then the three that I already mentioned, I've only got 6 PS1 games. I did not play any RPGs. These are not RPGs.
I mean,
RPG like
tennis game could be.
Yeah.
No.
There's no RPG elements in that.
Yeah. No leveling up. No party system.
No gear. You're not equipping new pieces of tennis equipment to give you increased stats.
Oh my god! What kind of tennis game is this?
It was the best tennis game I ever played.
Excellent.
That's the answer.
That's what I want to hear.
Now I kind of. I see 8. That's the answer.
Now I kind of want to play that game, but I like to play old games. By the way, that's going to come up a lot over the show for the next while. But next up, we got Black Wyver, who says, "Hello, Fab4. Here are some cues from all of us listeners to get to know you a little bit better and where you stand. Starting with Ngachacha's favorite question in the entire world: The Last of Us Part 1 versus Part 2. Ngachacha, would you fill in the audience? What's better, Last of Us Part 1 or Part 2?
How much time do we have, Ryan?
We got half an hour to finish these questions.
In short, I love both games. It's definitely one of my most important franchises and IPs that I've ever experienced. I hold both of them very near and dear to my heart. if you haven't played The Last of Us Part 1 on the PS5, I highly recommend it. Even though if you played the OG, the remastered, the remake is such a new immersive way to experience that story with the new cutscenes and the combat. It's not just a glow up. It is a new experience the way everyone needs to play. But to answer the question, it's got to be The Last of Us Part 2. Hashtag not sorry, I'm not sorry. It's better.
Nice. What about you, Ron?
There was no sequel for The Last of Us, so by default, it's the first one. But even if there was a sequel, which there isn't, The Last of Us 1 is going to win because everything about it was just great, except for the gameplay. The gameplay was it was fine, but the story, the characters, everything else was great about it. It's a shame that it did not get a sequel.
If only.
You
only.
didn't like the gameplay? You didn't like the gameplay?
Nah, man. Survival, stealthing around. Yeah, that's not really my thing. Yeah. But the story was great, and that's what got me.
Nice. Fulya, have you ever played the Last of Us games? I don't think so, right?
Nope.
Nope. Have
Cool.
not
We can make that
played
happen.
any of them.
So, from the title alone,
On the
what
list.
game is better, The Last of Us Part 1 or Part 2? Which do you like better, Part 1 or Part 2? Just the name.
Porque no les dos.
I like your answer. I like your answer.
Yes,
As for me, I'm going to actually agree with Ron here because there was no sequel to The Last of Us Part 2, or else I would have played it by now. Because I haven't played The Last of Us Part 2 because it doesn't exist, apparently. So Last of Us Part 1 is clearly my pick because I've never played The Last of Us Part 2. Like, I'm just telling you others, I've never played that game. Maybe I will one day. I probably should since I'm part of this show.
It doesn't exist.
You should
It's
play it.
fine.
You should
Yeah.
play it. You should play
Yeah.
it.
That's one of those games where I'm like, I should probably play it at some
Well,
point.
Ryan actually likes to play bad games, so makes sense.
Right.
Oh, too far, Ron.
Yeah,
Too
I
far.
took it there.
That's fine. You know,
I knew that was
it's
going to get him. I knew that was going to get him.
it's fine. Sometimes Ron's just allowed to be wrong about things, and this is just one of
I
those
am.
moments. Yeah. But
Only one way to find out.
I am. It is an opinion. It is.
Yeah. Next up, which PlayStation exclusive game / franchise is your favorite? I mean, for me, I would have to actually say Infamous. That's probably my favorite PlayStation exclusive franchise. I'm not a huge fan of superhero stuff, but I've loved Infamous and like all three of the Infamous games. And I like Cole as a character as well. Like I kind of miss having Cole McGrath and Zeke and all those fun characters from the Infamous games doing stuff nowadays. And it's a shame they're just stuck on the PS3. So I gotta give a shout out to Infamous. That's definitely my favorite PlayStation exclusive franchise. What about you, Fulya? What's your favorite PlayStation exclusive franchise?
I'm going to say the Little Big Planet franchise.
That's a good one.
Yeah. They're all good fun platformers. Just being able to run around and just like great collectathons. And yeah, just all around good, cozy fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ron, how about you?
God of War series. There hasn't been a bad God of War for me yet. I know a lot of people didn't like Ascension, but I thought Ascension was good. It wasn't on the level of the others, but yeah, the franchise hasn't let me down.
Okay. I have a question for you then, before we move on to Ngachacha. Are you more of a old God of War person or a new God of War person? Or do you like them both equally?
To tell you the truth, man, I kind of like the older Kratos.
Yeah.
The character developed Kratos, not to just mad all the time and let me slaughter what's in front of me. I mean, I didn't mind it, but yeah, God of War 2018 really made him a good character.
Okay. Because I like I agree with you. I like the character depth more with Kratos in the new ones.
Yeah.
But God, the gameplay in the original games was so much more up my alley than
It was.
Yeah. So well, I'm excited for us to have some more God of War talk down there.
Yeah,
but
I'm all for that.
Yeah. Ngachacha, what about you, man? What's your favorite PlayStation exclusive game or franchise?
Favorites, The Last of Us. Love that franchise, but shout out to Ghost of Tsushima. Like that game I'd had mid expectations. I wasn't sure what to expect from That studio. Not that I didn't like their other games, but that combat in Ghost of Tsushima is so visceral and just so addictive. Shout out to Seth's favorite game because there's no way I could put that game down because it was so much fun. The best way I could describe it is like you're Ninja Batman, where like you show up, you walk up, and you're telling them, "I'm not stuck here with you. You're stuck here with me," and I would just wreck people on the hardest difficulty. It was so much fun. So shout out to Ghost of Tsushima. Looking forward to that sequel. Can't wait.
Nice. They're just waiting at this point for Seth to play it, and then they'll make the sequel. That's how that works.
I
So
need Seth to get a move on. He's holding it up.
Come on, Seth. Holding
Buckle
this
up,
up.
Buttercup.
Come on.
Get together, Seth.
yeah. All right. Last question from Black Wyver is: if you wanted the listener / co-hosts to play one underrated gem, not a AAA game, by the end of the year, what would that game be? I mean, Ron actually said this one already. 13 Sentinels is a game I kind of want the two of you that haven't played it to play it at some point, because I love that game. I think that game is incredible, and I think that game is really underrated, despite the fact that it's got great praise. Like, it's a game I just don't hear people talking about enough. So yeah. I got to throw my hat in the ring. Say 13 Sentinels. I of course would just do the normal Ryan Turford answer of just saying Parasite Eve and just scream that from the rooftops. But there's no really accessible way for y'all to play that just yet. So just wait until that game eventually gets ported to modern consoles, and then I will never shut up about it. But what about you, Fulya? Because I feel like you'd have like a really interesting answer to this one. Like, what underrated gem do we need to play that we haven't played yet?
Okay, so I played this last month, and this was one of my platinums, and it's called Inked: A Tale of Love, and it is a puzzle platformer with a rich story about grief and about just relationships, and the art style is so unique. It's essentially, it looks like they've gotten a blue ballpoint pen and just drew out this whole game, and it looks so good. And I feel like it's a game that everybody needs to experience. It's an indie game, and it's available on PlayStation, and I'm pretty sure probably on PC as well, and maybe other consoles I'm not aware of. But it's just a beautiful game, and it's so good. I loved it so much. I implore you to please check it out. Just play through it and see what you think, because I loved it so much.
Nice. I'll have to give it a check out. That sounds pretty cool. What about you, Ron?
Greedfall. Nobody really talked about it, but that game was about as close as it gets to old BioWare style. And you could tell they were working with a budget, but they really did as great as they could with that small budget they had. Greedfall was a great game, way better than what it probably should have been. I wish more people would play that one.
Nice. Yeah, that's one that's been staring at me on my console ever since it was free on PlayStation Plus last year. And I'm like, I just never played that game. But you're speaking my language when you talk about old BioWare with that game. So gotta be interesting. What about you, Ngachacha?
Ron, what was the game that we were bullying Fulya to play? To the Moon or Finding Paradise?
Yeah, it was To the Moon.
Yeah, I think everyone needs to check out To the Moon. It's a short game. Shout out to Delroy. He introduced me to that game. It's a visual novel, so you're mostly click and pointing and very light games, but it's just I don't want to spoil it, but it's just a beautiful story, and it'll evoke quite a few emotions. And I think everybody needs to try it. It's only like it's 6 hours or so. But a beautiful story from a small indie developer. I think everybody should check out To the Moon, Finding Paradise. There's a few other ones. They're fantastic games.
Is that third one? Yeah. Just play the whole
really
trilogy.
Good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nice. All right, moving on. We got a question from TPR that I have a visual aid to assist us with. So TPR asks, who are your go-to mains in the legendary fighting game known as PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale? Will we say have a face-off? Of course, for those who don't know, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale was a PS3 exclusive fighting game in the style of Super Smash Brothers, but with the PlayStation characters on the PlayStation 3 and the Vita, and you can kind of like crossplay between the platforms. I love that game. In fact, shout out to Matt, who used to talk about PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale all the time. And of course, I have the visual aid here, which is, of course, the character screen from PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, in case people don't know who the characters are. So we can kind of run through them here. I'm going to go ahead and say, when I used to play this game all the time, my go-to main, which is a weird choice for me, but it's one that I used to love playing as, is Colonel Raddick from the Killzone games, which is this little guy over here. He's got a cool mask. He's got like a sniper rifle and grenades and stuff like that. And he was like a really good like long range character that could kind of like keep characters pinned. And I played them like very tactically. So that was always my go-to character for PlayStation All-Stars. The runner-up, of course, being this little lady over here, Kat from Gravity Rush. She was my backup when they added her as DLC. I thought that was super cool. And I loved playing as Kat. And she had these gravity powers, and she threw like chairs and other objects at people, and it was really cool playing as her. So got to go with Kat. It's my backup. But my main, definitely Colonel Raddick. I definitely wrecked some fools online with Colonel Raddick. But I now pass the floor on, because Ron, who is your main for PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale?
I would have to take a guess on this because I did not play this. It would definitely have to probably either be between Heihachi from Tekken or Kratos.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe the Big Daddy. But
oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. It would be between those three for sure.
Nice. Ngachacha, who would be your main in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale? Do you have one?
I too have never played this game. So based off the roster and based on the fact that I don't know how this game works, I'm just going to say Nathan Drake. And I'm just going to say that would be the best one to pick because he can charm and dance his way through the Battle Royale. Because that's how the game works in my imagination.
It's basically like Smash, and you've got Nathan Drake has a bunch of machine guns, and he throws like oil cans and stuff at people and blows them up. So he's a fun character.
Still works.
He's kind of like a tricky character. But Fulya, what about you? Who's your main from PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale?
I have not played this game.
Yeah.
But from the character choices that I've got here, I mean, Sackboy, would be pretty cool.
That's a good one.
Maybe Ratchet.
Okay.
Or is that? Yeah, that's Ratchet, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank.
And Clank.
Clank plays into it a little bit too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Delroy asks, is that Fat Princess in the upper left hand here? It sure is. Fat Princess is in the game too. Again, it was all the PlayStation characters that were really popular during the PS3 era. But Ratchet in this game was like very overpowered until they patched him. But he was actually a ridiculous character to play as. And Sackboy plays a lot like Colonel Raddick, actually. He's kind of like a long range character. He uses the poppet to pull different objects in from Little Big Planet and then throw them at people. So that's kind of
Isaac Clarke.
It is Isaac Clarke down here. Yeah. He was a DLC character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh dang, that's S tier.
Isaac, man.
Nice.
Oh no, now I'm kind of thinking Isaac would be pretty tough. I would think.
Yeah, he was definitely a good character as well. In fact, because the 4 DLC characters were him, Zeus from God of War, Kat, and then this other guy from the sequel to that plane game that I'm blanking on, because everyone forgot that this game actually came out.
Warhawk.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Warhawk. It was the sequel to Warhawk, and I can't remember what it was called, but I remember that game being really bad. But clearly you know what this means, you guys, because of course we talked about it off camera, but we're all coming to Extra Life this year. So I'm bringing my PS3 and we're playing PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, baby. I'll bring 4 controllers. We're going to play this game. We have to play this game because this game is great and y'all are sleeping on it. And there's no other way to play it. And we need to play it together. Because again, it's like Smash Brothers. So it's a great 4-person game to play with people. So we got to play PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale this year at Extra Life. Let's go. We'll even get TPR involved because TPR loves games like this. But last question of the night. We did it, guys. We made it to the final question. This comes to us from Fee, who asks, my question for you all, you can only pick one. pancakes, waffles, or French toast, because we all apparently know what the correct answer is. Because of
Yes,
course this
we
is blown
do.
up. Because the correct answer, of course, we all know it. Say it with me. Pancakes.
French toast.
Pancakes.
Toast.
Pancakes. Come on.
French
Pancakes.
toast.
Pancakes. Yes. Thank you, Fulya.
No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Fulya, right over
Rob
there.
knows what's up.
She is a woman of taste, ladies and gentlemen. She knows
Rob
pancakes
knows what's
are
up.
the best. Pancakes are
Rob
100%
knows.
the best.
French
Yeah, I'm with you,
toast.
Ngachacha, with French toast all day.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Here's the thing.
Mm-mm.
Here's the thing. So here in Australia, waffles is not really that commonly made. So a lot of times everybody would, and especially because waffle makers weren't really a big thing here. So pancakes is what we ended up making a lot of. And my mum always likes to make pancakes because she knows I love pancakes.
It's all right.
Speaking
It's
of,
fine.
I've got some in the fridge at the moment that
Nice.
I'll have later on. So pancakes was the main breakfast food that we would have if that was an option. And hotcakes from Macca's, McDonald's, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And hotcakes or pancakes, it's just the way to go. We have a dedicated restaurant called the Pancake Parlor here, and it is franchised throughout the
Oh, so
state
it's
of
IHOP then.
Victoria.
Okay.
It is amazing. They also have crepes available too, and they diversify it from being sweet to savory. So, you can have all sorts of different pancakes.
You have
All
so
right.
many choices with
Pancakes are fine.
pancakes.
Exactly.
Pancakes are okay. They're third best. They're not.
That's what I was gonna say. Pancake is so
number one.
low on the list. I don't
Yeah,
know how it
it's
could
third
be at the
best.
top of yours.
It's third
You
best.
two are so close to being kicked off the
Also-
show.
Also, if you haven't, you also need to try Japanese fluffy pancakes.
Oh, that's a
Holy
good one.
moly.
Yeah,
They
that's a
are-
good point.
They are
Good.
so thick
Yes.
and jiggly and fluffy.
Yes.
And, oh, it's so good.
I mean, when you see them in Food Wars, Fulya, you're just like, if they taste that good in real life, you know you've found some. good food.
Oh, so that's why
No,
Fulya's team
No, no.
pancakes because of
No,
Food
no.
Wars.
Ngachacha,
Oh.
don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Makes sense now. Yeah. Called it out.
Okay, yeah. Now I get
I've
it.
had
Don't need
pancakes
that.
since I was a kid, and that's my go-to. Pancakes.
Same, 100%.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna pass the floor to y'all to try and explain to us why French toast is not third place. We need to know.
Wow. It's because French toast is just great. It's S tier. It's elite. You put King's Hawaiian bread, croissant bread, brioche, it's over. No other breakfast bread comes close. Pancake can sit a seat way back. Waffles is close, but it ain't French toast.
I was gonna say waffles is close just because it's got that thickness, that crunch on the outside, but French toast S tier all the way, especially when you got the nice bread that's nice and thick, soft and fluffy, but when you get it fried just the right way with the eggs, so now it's fluffy, savory, and if you're just gonna top it off with maple syrup, whatever you're putting it on, you can't. Nothing else comes close to it except for waffles. Yes, you get the little pockets for syrup. I do agree with Bowsah in that sense, but it still doesn't have that fluff on the inside. And then pancakes. I'm sorry, if you've ever had a bad pancake, you're never gonna forget that taste when it's super flat, wet, and soggy. When you have
Swaggy?
a soggy pancake, then you're shout out to Cwagmire. When you have like a really soggy pancake and it's wet, you're just like, oh. So even when you do have good pancakes, you'll never forget that. But I've never in my life had a bad French toast. So that is why it is S tier all the
That's
way.
right, Ngachacha. Talk to him.
Well, clearly you haven't had a French toast from the college, cafeteria, because I've had bad French toast before. It's not good. So it definitely is.
Use the right bread. That's all it
Yeah.
was. That's all
I
it was. You
guess.
got that. You had to have a good.
But
Thick
there's
bread.
there's so much variability there when you can just have pancakes that are always consistently good.
Yeah, well, that's not true. Pancakes can be a little too thin.
The
IHOP.
thin, soggy
IHOP
ones. That's
has
what I'm talking
thick
about.
pancakes
Mm-mm.
with 3 C's in it, thick.
What?
That's the way it should
Thin
be.
pancakes are essentially crepes.
This is why you're
Yeah.
you're doing
Call it
this all
whatever you
wrong. You're going to IHOP
Don't
instead of
want
Denny's, which is the first mistake you made. Because Denny's is superior to IHOP in every way.
I
Oh,
went to
no.
IHOP. I didn't mind the pancakes there. They weren't great, but I did go to IHOP when I was in Canada.
See, IHOP is fine, but it's like You go get a grand slam with pancakes over at Denny's. Your day's gonna be doing well. Let me tell you what.
Dennis is aight. Dennis is aight.
Thanks for the question, Fee. Thanks
And
a lot.
shout out
Thanks,
to
Amanda.
Pat.
I don't know why Fee did
Shout
this.
out
I
to
don't know
Pat
why
in the
Fee did
chat
this.
who took me to Beauties because in Montreal, because they had great breakfast over there, and pancakes was obviously on that list.
Okay. Nice. Well, anyways, that is all the questions, y'all. We made it to the end of the
Goodness
episode. But before we say goodbye, first off, I got to say huge thank you, of course, to everyone who wrote in questions this week. I really appreciate it. There were so many great questions this weekend. I feel like we got to know the three of you really, really well. And of course, y'all get to know more about me, I guess. And I'm so glad we did this. But before we, of course, say goodbye, I got to, of course, say thank you to all of our patrons as well. We're going to start with our ultimate producers, Tony Baker from the Quest 4 Pixels podcast. You can check them out over at youtube.com/Quest4 Pixels today. That's the number 4, not 4 spelled out. And then Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music of the Xbox Drive and this podcast, the PlayStation Drive. You can find a link, his link tree to all of his music down in the description of this podcast, as well as all of our ultimate producer links can be found down there. Lita Lavarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. You can check them out over at phoenixoverdrive.com. And Cwagmire, who humbly reminds you that the best babes are in fact Xenobabes, just like Ngachacha's t-shirt says so. Our platinum producers, Robby Bobby Miller and Jonas Young, and our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, BobLoblaw, Bowsah, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, CrocoKyle, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, Yon32, Marcus O'Neill, Peje EP, and Tim Aulph. So huge thank you to all our patrons for supporting the show, keeping the lights on, and for being all around awesome folks. Well, now we say goodbye, but before we go, who do I pick? I gotta roll a D12 or something. Ron Plugs Go. Where can people find you on the internet, Ron?
On all the socials. You can find us on YouTube, Patreon. Carpool Gaming.
You, Savoy Prime, where they find you on the internet?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did so many outros, I forgot. Savoy Prime everywhere, except for Twitter. It's Savoy_Prime. That's it.
Nice. If people want to be PSN friends, is it also Savoy Prime? Do you welcome people to be your friends?
Savoy Prime everywhere.
Nice.
How about Nintendo Switch friends? What's your user ID?
Anyways, Ngachacha.
SP 000.
Ngachacha, where can people find you on the internet?
Just Ngachacha in the Carpool Gaming Discord and on the Twitters if you want to see stuff about Nier Automata, Resident Evil, The Last of Us, and many other things. You can find me there as well.
Nice. We don't give Nintendo Switch friend codes on this show. That's not what we do here. Fulya, what about you? Where do people find you on the internet?
So I'm going to do a Lockleth and say you can find me at foolishfuji.card.co. That's where all of my socials are, including my YouTube and Twitch channels. If you want to follow me over there. And yeah, I'm just Foolish Fuji in the Discord. And of course, my PSN is Foolish Fuji if you want to add me over on PlayStation.
Fancy koala.
Nice.
Fancy
you get to keep up with all of Fulya's trophies because she is in fact the trophy master of the group.
Yes. Platinum Queen.
Of this group.
Queen.
I don't know about everybody else.
Just this group.
Platinum Queen.
Yeah.
No, Platinum Queen.
As for me, you can find me on the old Twitter at Ryan Turford, as well as Ryan Turford pretty much everywhere else, because that's my name. I don't know if y'all knew that. You can also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, right here, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming. Of course, podcast services around the globe. So for Savoy Prime and Ngachacha and Foolish Fuji, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 136 of the PlayStation Drive, and we're out. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.
Adios. Thanks for checking out this week's episode of the PlayStation Drive. Now, before you drive off, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us at Carpool Gaming on socials. Don't forget to check out our awesome merch on carpoolgaming.com, and you can also support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, where you'll unlock all kinds of exclusive content. Links to everything are in the